There is a moment coming today when something small will try to get under your skin. A comment. A delay. A person who says exactly the wrong thing at exactly the wrong time. And in that moment, you're going to find out something about yourself that most people never learn until it's far too late in life. Are you the one running your mind? Or is your mind being run by whatever just walked into the room? This is what it actually means to act as if nothing bothers you. It is not numbness. It is not pretending you feel nothing. It is not swallowing your emotions until they resurface somewhere worse. It is a discipline, one the old Stoics spent their entire lives building, brick by brick, through failure, loss, exile, and public humiliation. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly how they built it, and why the same method still works today, in your inbox, in your relationships, in the small daily insults that most people let run their whole afternoon. Let's start with the part nobody wants to admit. Every time you lose your composure over something minor, you are not just having a bad moment. You are handing over a piece of your power to whoever or whatever caused it. Someone sends a cold text, and your whole evening changes. A stranger cuts you off in traffic, and you're still angry 20 minutes later, replaying it. Arguing with someone who isn't even there anymore. That person spent 5 seconds on you. You gave them your entire night. When you really look at that trade, it stops looking like a small thing. The Stoics noticed this pattern in human behavior a very long time before psychology had a name for it. Seneca, a man who advised an emperor and was eventually ordered to end his own life, wrote to his friends about the exact same frustration you feel when someone cuts in line or insults you at a dinner party. He wasn't above it. None of them were. What separated them from everyone else wasn't the absence of feeling. It was what they did in the half-second after the feeling arrived. Here's where most people misunderstand Stoicism completely, and it's worth clearing up before we go any further. Acting as if nothing bothers you does not mean becoming cold, distant, or emotionally shut off. A block of stone doesn't get bothered by anything either, but nobody admires a block of stone. The strength the Stoics were after is closer to a mountain in a storm. Wind hits it, rain hits it, lightning cracks across it, and it doesn't move, not because it can't feel the storm, but because its foundation goes deeper than the weather. That is the target, not absence of feeling. Depth underneath it. So how do you actually build that kind of foundation? It starts with a single idea that Epictetus, a man born into slavery who later taught some of the most powerful people in Rome, placed at the very center of his entire philosophy. Some things are within your control. Almost everything else is not. Your opinions, your effort, your choices, your reactions, these are yours. Other people's opinions of you, the traffic, the economy, whether someone likes your work, whether it rains on your wedding day, none of that belongs to you. And here is the part that changes everything once it actually sinks in. Most of your suffering doesn't come from the events themselves. It comes from spending your energy fighting for control over things that were never yours to control in the first place. Picture two people getting the exact same piece of harsh feedback at work. The first one spirals, replays it all night, feels small for a week. The second one hears it, feels the sting for maybe 10 seconds, and then asks a simple question. Is there anything useful in this I can actually act on? If yes, they use it. If no, they let it pass through them like wind through an open window. Same event. Two completely different outcomes. The only difference between them is where they placed their attention, on the thing they couldn't control, or on the response that was always theirs. That gap, the space between something happening and you reacting to it, is where your entire life actually gets decided. Most people treat that gap as if it doesn't exist. Someone says something rude, and the anger is out of their mouth before they've even had a single conscious thought about it. But that gap is real, and here's something almost nobody tells you. It can be trained wider. Not instantly. Not in one video. But the same way a muscle grows through resistance, that pause between trigger and response grows every single time you choose to notice it instead of skipping straight to reaction. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled the most powerful empire on earth at the time, used to write himself reminders about this every single morning before he even got out of bed. Not because he had it figured out, because he knew that by midday, someone in his own court would say something ungrateful, someone would try to manipulate him, someone would disappoint him, and he wanted to meet that moment already prepared instead of caught off guard. He wasn't writing for us. He was writing because even an emperor, a man with more external power than almost anyone in history, understood that none of it meant anything if he couldn't control the 6 inches between his own ears. That's the piece most people miss when they picture the Stoics. They imagine detached, robotic men who felt nothing. The truth is almost the opposite. These were people who felt everything, deeply, and trained themselves anyway, on purpose, day after day, specifically because they felt so much. The discipline wasn't there to erase emotion. It was there to keep emotion from making every decision for them. And once you start to see that gap, once you actually start noticing it in real time, instead of only recognizing it after the fact, something shifts. People around you start to notice it too. They can't quite explain why you don't crack the way you used to. Why an insult that would have ruined your week last year barely registers now. They start to wonder what changed. What they're seeing, without realizing it, is someone who stopped handing their power away for free, but knowing the idea is only the beginning of it. Understanding the gap between stimulus and reaction is one thing. Actually training yourself to live inside that gap, under real pressure, when someone is genuinely trying to provoke you, when the stakes are high and your old habits are screaming at you to react, is a completely different skill. That's the part the Stoics were far more precise about than most people realize, and it's exactly where we're headed next. The gap only means something if you know how to step into it on purpose, not just replay it 3 hours later, wishing you'd used it. So let's talk about how the old Stoics actually trained for that moment. Because it wasn't luck, and it wasn't some rare personality trait. It was rehearsal. Here's the first method, and it sounds backwards at first. Instead of hoping the hard day never comes, you spend a few quiet minutes picturing it before it does. Not to scare yourself, to take away its element of surprise. The philosophers had a name for this, something like rehearsing misfortune in advance, and the logic behind it is simple. Shock is what breaks people, not the event itself. If you've already sat with the idea that the deal might fall through, that the friend might cancel, that the answer might be no, then when it actually happens, some of the sting is already spent. You met it once already, quietly, on your own terms. Think about someone getting ready for a difficult conversation with their boss. Most people avoid thinking about it until they're sitting in the chair, heart pounding, mind blank. The Stoic approach is almost the opposite. The night before, you sit with it on purpose. You picture the worst version of that conversation, the cold response, the disappointment on their face, and you ask yourself one honest question. Could I survive that? Almost always, The answer is yes. And once you know you can survive the worst version, the actual conversation, whatever happens, stops holding the same power over you. The second method Marcus Aurelius leaned on constantly was what people now call the view from above. Picture your entire day, the argument, the traffic, the email that ruined your morning, from far enough away that you can see the whole city it happened in. Then further, the whole country, then the whole spinning planet, one small light moving through the dark next to countless others just like it. From up there, the thing that ruined your morning barely registers as a shape. He wasn't doing this to feel small or insignificant. He was doing it to remember that most of what feels urgent at ground level is not actually as large as it feels while you're standing inside it. Try it with something ordinary. Someone cuts you off in traffic. In the moment it feels enormous, like the most important thing happening on Earth right then. Zoom out for 3 seconds. Somewhere right now, a surgeon is holding someone's life in their hands. A parent is getting news they never wanted to hear. A stranger is celebrating the best day of their life. Your traffic moment is real, but it is one tiny thread in a fabric so large that most of it will never touch you at all. That's not a trick to numb you. It's a correction, because your nervous system was treating a small thing like a large one, and the view from above puts it back where it belongs. Now here's where this connects to something almost everyone struggles with, and that's other people's opinions of you. Think about a lighthouse standing on a rock at the edge of a coastline. Ships pass by all night. Some of them are grateful for the light. Some curse the weather. Some don't even notice it's there. The lighthouse doesn't adjust its beam based on which ships approve of it. Its job was never to be liked by the water. Its job is to stay lit, steady, and visible, regardless of what's said about it from the deck of a passing boat. That's the posture the Stoics wanted you to build toward, not because opinions don't matter at all, but because most of them were never yours to carry in the first place. Bring that into your actual life. A comment on something you made, a relative who doesn't approve of a choice you're proud of, a coworker who talks about you in a meeting you weren't in. None of that is within your control, and chasing control over it is exactly how people burn themselves out trying to manage 100 opinions instead of living one life. The question worth asking isn't, does everyone like this? It's, did I act in a way I actually respect? If yes, the rest is weather. It will pass, the same way it always does. There's one more piece to this, and it shows up most clearly when someone is actively trying to provoke you. A comment designed to get a reaction. A tone in a meeting meant to knock you off balance. Most people feel obligated to respond immediately, as if silence would mean losing. It's the opposite. The person trying to provoke you is hoping for a reaction, because a reaction gives them information, and sometimes it gives them exactly the outcome they wanted. A pause before you respond, even a short one, changes the entire shape of the interaction. It tells the room, without a single word, that you are not owned by whatever just happened. None of this becomes real from watching a video once. It becomes real the same way anything becomes real, through repetition, on ordinary days, with ordinary annoyances, long before the big test ever arrives. Some people find it useful to write a few lines at the end of each day, not a diary of feelings, more like an honest debrief. Where did I hand my power away today? Where did I hold the pause? It doesn't need to be long. 5 minutes, most nights, is enough to start noticing the pattern of your own reactions instead of being run by them without ever looking directly at them. What you're actually building here isn't coldness, and it was never meant to be. It's presence. The kind of steadiness that lets you feel everything fully, the frustration, the disappointment, even the anger, without those feelings making your decisions for you. That's the real difference between the version of you that gets knocked around by every small thing and the version of you nothing seems to touch. Not less feeling. More room around the feeling. Enough room to choose. If this way of thinking is starting to make sense to you, this channel exists for exactly this. We dig into the real, practical side of Stoicism, not the quotes people post without ever applying them, but the actual daily discipline behind staying steady when life gives you every reason not to be. If you want more of this kind of thinking in your life, stick around and consider becoming part of Stoic Origin. Give this one a like if it landed. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and subscribe so the next one finds you when you need it most.